See there, I may not be the first Ant-Man, but I'm among the best.
We obey the Supreme Hydra.
Where do they get all these twisted maniacs? Your blessing means a lot to me, Hank.
Just remember, Scott, if you change size for more than 4 hours, call a doctor. All this field testing is really paying off.
Playtime's over. 60% of the time, it works every time. Finally, some action around this place. Not so easy stepping on bugs when they fight back. I'm about as good at shrinking things as I am at stealing them. Try hitting someone my own size. That doesn't make any sense.
All of you against little old me?
Hit him hard! Or rather, hit him lots of times in a small way.
What's up, everybody? I am here with a guy who for many clearly needs little or no introduction. But if you have been living under the rock for the past 15 or 20 years, I'm really super stoked to have with me David Brevik, CEO,
that's correct,
the overlord of Gazillion, currently working on his hot jam at the moment, Marvel Heroes, which we'll be discussing shortly. But this is a guy who had a massive influence on many people at my age within the midlife gamer community. This is a guy behind Diablo 2.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about that, and maybe some of the influence that you've brought from that game into the Marvel Heroes universe?
Sure, yeah. Diablo was a real passion project for me. I thought of it when I was in high school and kept iterating on it and changing it and working on it all through my college life. And then after, when I started, become a professional game developer, I worked in the industry for a few years, and then teamed up with somebody to make a Genesis game. And Silicon and Synapse was making the Super Nintendo version of the game, of this game called Justice League Task Force. It was a fighting game. And they were making Warcraft 1 as well. And I have this great idea for a PC game. And they said, okay, we'll come out and you can pitch it to us. And I pitched them Diablo. And it was something I'd always dreamed about doing. And I always wanted to make PC games. That was kind of my passion. And they loved the idea. And we became Blizzard North. They became Blizzard. And kind of the rest was history there. It was something that I'd always dreamed about doing. And I didn't know that it would become what it became. I mean, when we pitched the idea, it was very different. It was turn-based, and it was single player, and it was like, and we changed it so much during the course of development that it's still just such a magical time for me.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's many people watching this video now that are they're thinking back to their youth. And I remember there as a teenager sitting there in front of my 386 or whatever, trying to run this game and having such an amazing time. So personally, from me and from the midlife gamer community, thank you so much for producing such a stellar game. However, I know that you're going to want to talk about what you're working on right now, which is, of course, Marvel Heroes. So to the uninitiated, and for somebody who has no idea what Marvel Heroes is, let's have the elevator pitch. What is it all about?
Okay, so kind of the 1,000-foot view or whatever is it is Diablo, but you play as the Marvel superheroes. So it's an action RPG. It's got skill trees. It's got it's got random items and random levels and all the kind of things that the gameplay of Diablo. It's very action oriented and stuff like that, as well as then you play as the Marvel superheroes, as Iron Man, as all of the Hulk, all of the ones you can think of. My personal favorite, Rocket Raccoon, whatever your pleasure. And we have 49 different heroes that we have. That you can play as, and the 50th is coming this month. Every month we have a new character class, which is really unusual, and the characters play very differently from each other. They all have their own special mechanics. Some are really elaborate, so it's a kind of a fresh new take on a game every single month, which is really exciting. It is free to play. You can play the entire thing for free, and in fact, about 85% of the people never pay us any money at all. So, and that's fine. And you can earn everything through playing. It's very generous. We give lots of stuff away, and so I highly encourage people to download and give it a try.
Absolutely. So, it's clearly for me and for many people, the Marvel phenomenon has kind of exploded over the last couple of years, particularly in the movie industry. There's always a handful of hot new action films that are associated with Marvel characters. Does that present much of a challenge to you in terms of what you put into the game in the future, or maybe could you tell us a little something around the relationship you have with Marvel in terms of future-proofing the content within your game?
Right. Yeah, they give us a lot of advance warning on what they're going to be doing and what's coming down. It's like they will come to us and say, hey, it's a really good idea. One example, you should put Rocket Raccoon in the game. We're like, wait, I love Rocket Raccoon, but I mean, come on, nobody knows who this is or whatever. And they're like, trust us, you should put And then a couple weeks later, they announce Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and it's like, oh, okay, now it makes sense, So and then they help us out in other ways too. They, for instance, with Age of Ultron, they go to the visual effects company and they send the models, the 3D models, to us that they use in the visual effects. So when you're in the game and you have Iron Man, you put on the Hulkbuster Iron Man suit, it is the exact suit from the special effects from the movie. So it really we get all this materials and access to early scripts, and we kind of understand not only what's going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but also in the comics universe. They give us a lot of advance warning, like we knew the spoiler on Thor way before it was released and stuff like that. So we work really closely with them, giving us lots of advance warning to make sure that we coincide and kind of synergize the real true power of the IP and make it represented in the game.
Well, I mean, it makes sense to me then that anyone who is even half a fan of the Marvel Universe should really get involved in this game. Yeah. It just makes sense. So in terms of the people that are deeply entrenched within the game, playing it day in, day out, they're going to be wanting to be asking the important question, David, tell us what's coming. Give us some juicy stuff that we can get our teeth into over the next couple of months or into next year. Can you help us out with that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot. Let me try and remember a few things. So this month, kind of the next hero that we're doing is War Machine, and then after that we have Blade and Kitty Pryde and Iron Fist and Black Cat. And then the community, actually, we're very, very involved in our community. We communicate a lot with them. I personally stream the game 4 nights a week, and play with the community and things like that and answer questions. So, we had them vote on what the final character in this pack that we were having would be, and they voted for Magic was the winner, and so that will be one of the characters coming up. So every month we have at least one character that we release, and that will continue as we go here. And then we have a bunch of other features as we kind of roll into the fall time. We're going to do Marvel Heroes 2016, and we'll have things like leaderboards are coming, a new story, an additional chapter, and kind of the continuation of the storyline. We've got controller support coming. We've got a giant visual upgrade to the game. So there's a whole bunch of things that are really gonna really be fun experiences. We have new levels coming, new zone, a new mode called Danger Room, where you get random maps and you can trade the maps, and there'll be rare maps and things like that. And the levels will have affixes associated with them, just kind of like random items, but random levels with affixes. And then we also have a new event coming as well next week, as a matter of fact. That will be the Limbo event, which is a special mode. It's the Mystic Mayhem is what we're calling it, but it's a special level called Limbo. You'll only be able to play that for about a week, and then it'll go away for a couple months and come back kind of periodically. So lots of content, lots of fun things. Oh, and then we'll have a raid in the winter as well. So there's all sorts of stuff that's coming very, very soon. There's a lot to do.
Holy shit! I mean, that was exciting for me, and I'm not really into the game, but it sounds like I really ought to, because I kind of like the Marvel Universe. Ollie's nodding his head because he's a founder and his name's all over the credits, and he tells me week in, week out, and how he's been looking forward to standing here in front of you, David. Never want to ask the difficult questions, but this is a traditional question that we ask all the important people at Midlife Gamer, and we're gonna walk away from video games for a second, okay?
Okay.
What's your favourite? So you're a statesman. You're a man from the States, so I can't say biscuit because a biscuit is something completely different. Okay. Cookie.
yeah.
Cookie. What's your favourite cookie and beverage?
Well, well, I don't know. Favorite beverage is scotch, so I don't know if that's
With ice?
no.
Water?
No.
Neat.
Neat, but a couple drops of water. But yes, just to kind of open it up. But I love scotch. It's one of my favorite drink by far and away. I have a huge scotch collection. I'm in a scotch club and things like that. So I really love it. Favorite biscuit. I don't really have any. I'm allergic to wheat, so I don't eat too many of them. So that's maybe I should say tea and some sort of biscuit, but I guess that's okay. Scotch will make up for it.
Listen, if you just want to drink scotch and forget about the biscuits, I don't think there's many of us that would argue with that, if I'm totally honest. So, okay, look, I think we should probably think about bringing this interview to a close, because quite honestly, I could stand here and talk to you all day, because it's been a fascinating time spent with you, David. But let's wrap things up. So we've got Marvel Heroes 2015 currently available. Do you want to talk about the platforms we can play it on right now?
PC and Mac and are available right now, and you can just download it at marvelheroes.com.
Okay. There's people out there asking about console.
Yes.
What do you say to them?
That would be fun, wouldn't it be?
Wouldn't it just?
That's all I can say.
And that's all that David can say, and that's all I wanted to hear, as I'm sure you did. So thank you very much, David. Have a fantastic Gamescom, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks.
On Draenor, old rivals sought to bring Azeroth to its knees. And while the Iron Tide was quelled, they were but servants of a more ancient foe that has not forgotten our defiance. The vengeance of the burning shadow has come. And in our most desperate hour, we must wield the power of the enemy against them. For we stand once more upon the brink of destruction. The Burning Legion has returned.
Hey guys, I'm here today with Henry Hoffman, who is responsible for a really delightful game which I've just had the pleasure of spending about 15 or 20 minutes should I say, playing Hue. Henry, do you want to just talk to us a little bit about the game, what inspired you to create it and what it's all about broadly?
Sure. So coming from an art background, I've always been fascinated with color, and I found it really exciting when I'd have a sort of a colored object on a colored background, and then changing the hue of the background could make that object just sort of appear and disappear visibly. And I thought maybe that could work as like a really nice sort of gameplay mechanic where as well as just sort of visibly disappearing, it also physically disappears. And then we've sort of started playing around with this in the context of sort of a puzzle platforming game, and really it just worked when it came to there being Hugh, who was this little boy, and then there's Mother, who was like the researcher who studied the theory of colors. And the idea is that through altering that perceptual contrast, like, we can make stuff disappear, and it just seems to work quite nicely.
It does, and I guess one of the things that we identified quite early on, jokingly, because I was doing so badly at the game, that they asked me if I was colourblind, and that kind of just sparked the thought in my head of, well, how does this game cater for colourblind players?
Yeah, so I mean, that's something that we've been very concerned about from the very beginning of development. Like, the last thing we want to do is be exclusionary in terms of the players that can enjoy the game. So we've been talking to various people who specialize in this sort of field, and we started by sort of introducing this patterning system where there would be different patterns that overlay different colors, and then the player can match those patterns with those colors. But what we found is that as our art style developed and became sort of more complicated, that sort of system was too complex. So we moved to like this runic symbol-based system where you have these different symbols for each color, and then each object that is colored also has a symbol, and then you just end up matching those corresponding symbols. And essentially what that does is that adds an extra layer of communication that colorblind people can sort of fall back on.
No, that's excellent. And considering there's only, is there just two of you developing this game? Talk about the development process, how long you've been doing it, and I guess we can get around to the important stuff is, when are you guys going to be able to play it?
Sure. So, I mean, we've been working on it for about a year, I guess. I mean, we put together a prototype around a year ago, which was sort of a very short demo that sort of worked out the basic mechanics and how that could work in the sort of puzzle platforming context. But then we sort of weren't really working on it for another 6 months or so, but then now we've been working on it full time for like another 6 months, and we've got another sort of 6 months of development left. So we're aiming for Q1 release, which is going to be on sort of every console imaginable.
Should we list them?
Yeah, we probably should. So there's PS4, PS3, Xbox One, Steam, and PS Vita, and Wii U. Yeah, I think that's all of them.
Okay. We haven't missed any, have we?
I think so.
I'm making you doubt yourself now. I didn't mean to do that. Boys and girls, I'm sure you've had a chance to check some footage while we've been talking here. Take my word for it, it's a really fun and interesting game. And for me, it's one of those games where when you solve a puzzle yourself and don't have a developer helping you, it feels great. It's a real pat on the back to yourself to say, yes, I finally solved that. But keep it peeled. Look out for the game. It's called Hue, and look forward to playing this in Q1 of next year. Thank you very much, Steve.
Thanks very much.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Dearest Hugh, oh, I've had the most dreadful luck. I feel terrible that you've been left alone all this time. The traitorous Dr. Gray tried to steal the annular spectrum, a ring I developed to allow perception and alteration of colour. Some call them impossible colours. Impossible for Dr. Gray, maybe. Anyway, something went wrong. I turned a strange shade and became invisible. I stayed at home for weeks, watching, waiting, existing on this coloured plane, and I couldn't speak to you, nor interact with objects in the mono world. So I left. I left the university where I hid away the coloured tools I had created, just in case I could return. I am writing this letter with coloured ink. I pray you have found the ring and can read this. Yours lovingly, Mum.
So here we are with Roll from Rage Squid, and he's going to show us a delightful looking game called Action Henk. I'm not going to talk too much more because he knows all about it, and he's going to share some information with us and hopefully some video game footage as well. So over to you, Roll.
Yeah, so this is Action Henk, and it's a game about an action figure in a midlife crisis, basically. So what you see is Action Henk. He was a really cool action figure back in the 90s, and you can see on the video as well. He used to be really cool, like super ripped, and then he let himself go a bit, and now he sort of gets challenged by his rival. His rival steals his award, and he challenges him. So he's out there to prove that he still got what it takes. So he wants to prove that he's still the fastest action figure of them all. So the game itself is very simple. It's basically a speed-running platformer game where you have to run through these short levels as fast as you can. So what you do is just you run, you jump, and you use your butt slide. And that's basically how you get around. And the butt slide is a very important mechanic because it can give you a lot of speed when you go downhill. So it's all about like keeping your momentum, keeping your speed high, and then you can earn medals. You can earn like bronze, silver, gold. So you can choose what kind of challenge you want. And there's also a possibility to race, for example, the ghosts of your friends, or there's leaderboards as well. So it's all about, you know, getting those high scores and just sort of, you know, this friendly rivalry. So I'll just show you a couple more levels so you can get a feel of what it's like. It starts out very simple. Like in the beginning, there's no way to really sort of die or anything like that. But throughout the game, you start learning more subtle mechanics. So that means that because everything's physics based, there's all these little tricks, like if you jump just at the right moment, or if you know where to slide perfectly, then you can get, you know, like small little nudges, like small little seconds off your time, basically. So that's sort of the point of the whole game is mastering these mechanics and just, you know, getting better at everything. So I'll show you a different environment now. This is the disco environment, as you might see. So we definitely just want to sort of spice up the environment a bit every once in a while. So it's still the same sort of room, as you can see, but now there's confetti and disco lights and all kinds of stuff. So so all this stuff is just to have a nice background as well to watch. So if you're not playing the game but just watching someone else play the game, then you can just sort of, you know, you have a nice background to look at. Go a bit further. Then further on in the game, the second part of the game takes place outside. So as you can see now, this is sort of you're on the beach and there's like water and sun, and so this is a completely different environment. And also there's a shark here if you die. So this is a completely different environment. But again, the gameplay is still the same, and it stays the same throughout the game. But as you can see, it's starting to get a bit more complicated. Like, the game will start requiring more subtle tricks to even, you know, make the level, to even finish the level. So and if you want to get a gold medal, it's becoming harder and harder. And you know, near the end of the game, the game basically says, like, the longer you keep playing it, the game will be like, okay, it seems like you're up for a challenge, so the further you get, the harder it gets, and we want this sort of slow but steady increase in difficulty, so that very, like, casual players can just start off playing it and can get into it real easy. But as you progress, the game just gets harder and harder. So if you're one of those people who's really up for like a big challenge, well, then we got you covered, basically. So do you want to try it for yourself?
Should I?
I think you should.
Should I really? Ollie, take this microphone from me, because you'll be able to hear me swear when I fail anyway from all the way over there. Give me a second.
So you can just press A and then, yeah. Okay. So now you can select your opponent you want to race against.
Oh, right, okay. We'll keep it simple.
Yeah, let's start off simple.
So, okay. Oh yeah, there's the bump slide. Okay.
So what you can do is when you press B,
Yeah.
you instantly restart. So instantly restarting is a big part of the game because it's a game about mastery.
Yeah.
Like I just sort of ran through the levels, but I've been playing them for 2 years almost. But the whole point of the game is just keeping on trying and just sort of getting a little bit better every time. So if you fail, we don't want it to be a big penalty if you fail. We just want you to be able to instantly restart. No load times, no waiting, just keep going, just so you don't feel like it's a penalty if you make a mistake. It's really part of the game, just getting better
failed
slowly.
There. So yeah, shape 3 seconds off.
Nice.
And again, so I wasn't happy the way that started. So in a similar way to, I guess, to I'm comparing to Trials HD here.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be
Yeah,
my
massively.
#1 sort of.
Yeah.
Also in terms of inspiration, it's definitely a huge inspiration.
Well, I was going to ask you, what was the, what was the key inspiration? And I kind of guessed the answer for myself just from watching you play it and talk about it. It's got for me, it's rooted in that quick, instant gameplay that Trials delivers so well.
Yeah.
And when you do, for want of a better phrase, mess up, you can just dive back in and start again.
Yeah.
So again,
Indeed, yeah, it's Trials is definitely a big inspiration. Also, not only into like what you say, just keep getting better, but also the way that there's sort of a very simple physics-based mechanic that sort of makes sense from the get-go. Like in 1 minute you understand how it works.
Yeah.
But then you can spend hours and hours on perfecting and learning these little tricks that just make everything go just a little bit better. So that's definitely sort of, I mean, it's just that he's not on a motorbike, but basically it's sort of the same thing.
Okay, let's try another track of the bay. Betsy's challenges. What's this one going to be?
So every once in a while you run into a different character. So this is Betsy. She's a bit crazy, but and what you do is you race them. So if you beat them, then you unlock the character. That's basically the idea. So there's no difference in gameplay or physics. It's just sort of an aesthetic thing. But it's nice to sort of switch things around. They look completely different. They have different voices. You can also unlock different skins for the characters. So there's like one skin where Hank is wearing a ballerina outfit and that kind of just like weird, wacky outfits you can unlock. But it's all just, again, just to sort of spice things up a bit, and so you have some sort of stuff you can unlock throughout the game. These levels definitely are a bit harder.
I can see that. I potentially picked the worst level possible then. Shit! No! Oh!
Yeah, there's another one.
Woo! Woo!
So, yeah, so that's basically Action Hank. As you can see, it's very simple.
Okay. Right, I'm in. When can I play it and what can I play it on?
So the game launched on Steam about 2 months ago, and we're now working together with Curve Digital to do the console version. So it's going to be out on PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Vita, Xbox One, and Wii U. So there's like a whole lot of platforms you can play it on, and it should be coming fairly soon.
Fairly soon.
Fairly soon.
I think that's as good as we're going to get in terms of committed dates. But hey, if it's available on PC now, why not go and play it, or hang fire, wait for a console version. Rule, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate you sharing this game. Good luck with the rest of the show. Thanks. And yeah, good luck with the game. It's fab. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh yeah! Better than ever! Ready, go!
Yeah, baby. Oh, yeah.
beer garden now. Darren, that's the Brit that he is. And this is extra wurst.
All the sauce coming on.
All that red and yellow sauce. And of course, you already must have locked it in. His which beer is it?
Bitburger. Bitburger.
Bitburger.
Good. Pilsner.